Good afternoon. My name is Kevin Amerson. Welcome to part two of my Bible theme vlog. This will fit in correlation to the first video that I've done on themes. I'm just go over the two themes that I've selected for the Old Testament is the idolatry and for kingship as well. I'm going to go over in this video how they fit into the Old Testament, and without them, the Old Testament would be missing key information. Idolatry itself is bad and goes against what God has commanded. As we said before in the first video, three commandments, the very first three are to worry about not having false gods or any gods before them. And to have any type of these idols, breaks the first three commandments right off the bat. Three of the 10, that's not very good odds if you break it down. The amount of idolatry in the Old Testament almost sets like a precedent of God's love and grace towards humanity. Israel was God's chosen people. He brought them out of slavery, um, and to be His chosen people. And He even dwelled among them in temples that He had them build for His glory. He sat on the throne, symbolizing as His throne, and in the cloud. And God saved Israel so many times, more times than people today would even thought about saving them. The sheer amount of idolatry gave the Lord more than enough heartbreak and anger to last a lifetime. They always said that humanity in the church is God's bride, and that humanity and the church have broken God's heart so many times that any normal human limits we would have done give up a long time ago. But God never gave up. The reoccurring theme of the God's grace and loyalty towards humanity is that God always gave them a second chance to make things right. You know, when they were being bit by snakes in Canaan, there were no human remedies for that, but God didn't let them suffer for that. He told Moses to make the statue of a snake and put it on a pole, and if they'd look to him, that they would be healed. That gave them a chance to fix the mistakes that they had made. Even in Peter in the New Testament, I asked Jesus how many times it was okay to forgive his brother for the wrongdoings against him. And Peter threw out a number of 7, thinking that was an outrageous number as well. But Jesus answered to him saying 70 times 7. That's quite a few more times than just the normal 7. And if you were to calculate all the times Israel had disobeyed God, you would see that this was an example given, spoken by Jesus, directly represents God, because God has forgave Israel and humanity many more times than necessary. Now, the theme of this idolatry is almost like a guideline, meaning that if God's chosen people, Israel, can mess up and do all the wrong things as to be loved by God, then He will still love us when we mess up. Then moving on to the second theme we discussed in the first video of kingship. Kingship theme fits snugly into the Old Testament storyline. As we said before, if you were to trace the promises made by God to Abram, Judah, and David along the bloodlines, you could see that it all links up. Judah's father was Jacob, who was the son of Isaac, who was the son of Abraham, which is lots of begetting there. You can see God promised many kings would come from their lines. And moving on to what Nathan told David from God, you can follow David's line all the way to Joseph, who is the father of Jesus, who is the ultimate king and the king for kingship um, forever and ever. Now, all this happens to God's plan and His will. The storyline of the Old Testament would be sorely lacking and would actually be corrupted if these pieces were not in place for these themes. It completes the story. It brings it full circle to show God's glory. That not only that He keeps the promises that He has given to His people, that as long as they obey Him and follow His His rules, but also that adultery, even though that we fail to modern day adultery, whether it be hunting or fishing or racing or whatever it could be, that He will always forgive us and He always will love us no matter what we do. I hope this clears up a little bit more about how they would fit into the themes fit into the storyline. Have a good day.